Hello, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How's it going? How's the week going? It's a fresh week. So what's the week like?
It's a fresh week. It's good. It's good. So yeah, I'm calling from Stockholm.
Oh,
That's where
okay,
I am.
okay. So I was gonna say, give us a brief introduction, tell us about yourself and what you
Yep.
do exactly.
Yeah, so I'm Magnus. I head up emerging tech and Europe for Iterate AI. We're a low-code platform helping large enterprises to make AI solutions.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Okay. So my name is Dapo from Tech Economy. This is the InfoWave podcast. I'm the host for the InfoWave podcast, and basically we talk about business, technology, and the economy in general. And I'm from Nigeria. So quickly, a lot of people have been talking about how AI is here to take a lot of people's jobs, and AI is going
Mhm.
to replace a lot of the human workforce. Let me put it that way. So, what do you have to say about this? What do you think? Do you think AI is here to take our jobs?
I think AI is here to enhance the way we do jobs and potentially take away some actions or activities that we have in our jobs that are mainly the boring stuff. Right? So we how we see AI coming to life with large enterprises is highly kind of related to automation or summarization or document scanning and things like that. Things that requires a lot of human labor, but I would say human labor that is uh, I would say maybe on the lower end boring stuff and kind of how we see kind of especially now in the era of generative AI that kind of it's actually kind of level setting people. So kind of we're seeing it raising the level of knowledge that the kind of typical people can provide. So I think kind of it's enhancing people's skill sets, and we also see kind of it's probably automating some of the more boring, mundane tasks. So I don't think it's about taking jobs; it's about enhancing jobs.
It's about enhancing jobs. But on this side of Africa, developing countries, I don't think we say it that way because if AI is going to assist you with better data processing, personalized assistance, emotional intelligence, and the likes, well, I mean, a couple of people would lose their jobs. For instance, virtual assistants now, AI is already doing that. Automatically, those that are virtual assistants are out of jobs. So, what would you advise
Hmm.
a young a young person that is not growing with technology? How would you advise him, or what roles do you think you can? What advice do you think you can give to him?
I think kind of the only thing that will be constant going forward is change, right? And the pace of change is at least what we've seen is kind of never been this fast, and it seems to be accelerating even further, especially with AI. So I think kind of for me, how I think about kind of how do you set it yourself up for a world like that? It's more about kind of how do I make sure that I am open to this new technology? How do I make sure that I'm um, embracing it? And how do I make sure that kind of I can provide the human touch that maybe the technology cannot, right? So I think kind of in the case of what you said, it kind of this is a job that is disappearing. We've seen that through history all the way through kind of spinning Jenny or whatever, kind of when industrial revolution that some jobs are moving away, but they're replaced by other more exciting tasks. So I think kind of rather than trying to stop this change is more about kind of okay, how do I find a role in it? How do I embrace it? Because yeah, none of us will have the possibility to change this. It's a strong force, right? So how do you get on top of it? And how do you it's almost like how do you even if you're great at what you're doing, how do you kind of think about okay, am I great in a fading wave of things that are going on? And
Mm.
if so, is that the best place for me to be? Or how can I be even good or okay in a building wave? So kind of, okay, what's next? What's happening? How can I start to embrace that new technology? How can I participate? I think it's easy to get kind of a bit depressed when you're seeing that okay, what I did and what I've been doing for 20 years is moving away. but then also with new technology comes new possibilities. So kind of how do I see my skill set and my opportunities in that space? So I've always been like that. I've always been kind of excited about what's next, even though it's frustrating with kind of your key skill set is maybe not as useful any longer, but yeah, look forward as you run rather than backwards.
All right. One very key thing you said was being able to evolve with the technology,
Mm-hmm.
not being stagnant. I think that's the word.
Yep.
So if I'm going to move into the major focus and the major crux of the conversation today about what unique technologies Taiwan is actually bringing on to the table, because I think the AI space is gradually getting saturated. We have the likes of Meta, we have the likes of
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT, and a lot of AI um, tech out there. So what is Taiwan doing differently? What makes Taiwan unique with its approaches to AI?
Which make what unique? Kind of, sorry, can you repeat what makes what unique?
Yeah. So what unique technological approaches is Taiwan using to set them apart in terms of their AI technologies?
Mm. Yes, so I think if you think about kind of how do you use AI and generative AI to kind of participate in this change, I think one thing that I think is typically underestimated is that this generative AI is also kind of in a way democratizing knowledge, right? And planning and kind of is also, but also I've heard professors saying, okay, they publish very technical papers as an example. And one of the professors said, okay, my daughter actually take this technical paper, put it into like a chat GPT and says, explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old,
Yeah.
which means that kind of all the stuff that has been kind of on a knowledge level or at a kind of very technical level that might not be as available to everyone is now suddenly available if you're embracing these tools. So I think that it's in a way it's democratizing these deep knowledge and in a way decrypting kind of the secret language of some scientists, right?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is like what the hard thing when you're learning stuff is typically where do you start, right? How do you eat the elephant, right? Kind of how do you piecemeal these things and kind of help. That's something that I use tools like ChatGPT and others frequently. It's like I want to learn this new topic or tell me all about this topic, and then kind of okay, what's the 20% that gives me 80% of the value? Kind of what are the most important things, and then okay, give me a plan. You can ask ChatGPT that. You can give me a plan for 2 weeks to learn this topic and a day by day plan, right? It helps you kind of plan and adjust it and kind of take in knowledge. I think those are the things that we should think about how we use this technology and also kind of that democratization of the difficult subjects, right? Yeah, there's a typically a saying like explain it to me as I'm 5, right? That's something you can ask on any kind of put a text in a difficult text and it like explain it to me as I'm 5, and you take away all the kind of secret lingo and all of the BS stuff, and then kind of it's focused on what's the real knowledge in there. So I think it's more about kind of how do you use this technology, how do you embrace this technology to accelerate your own learning, and how do you make it kind of a companion in your development. I think for me that's key things that I see kind of where AI is going and where AI can help humanity.
Yes, interesting. So I like your angle, and I'm going to take it from the moral perspective, because now you're saying simplify everything. AI makes everything easier. So I'll bring it from the moral perspective. So using AI for the basic and random things, how safe is it? Because a couple of people will say, "Oh, I'm using TikTok," but it's for some instance now I'm having like a very hard time, and I'm scrolling through TikTok, and TikTok is bringing exactly what I'm actually going through at the time. So a lot of people are saying, how safe is it to use AI? What is the
No,
privacy
I
like?
think kind of. So I think for me, it's kind of it's a broad question. It's a good one, but I think kind of it, and the answer is a typical tech answer is like it depends, right? So it depends. I think kind of if you're using these large foundational models like a chat GPT or something, right? I think kind of it's been trained. You need to understand that this is about language. It's not all about facts. But kind of coming back to some of the examples I said of how to use it, if you're summarizing documents, if you're just kind of explaining it to me as I'm five, give me a plan to learn this new subject, kind of the risk of doing something wrong might not be that big, right? Because you'll get a plan that is bringing you to a goal in a much more efficient way than if you didn't use this tool. Mm-hmm. If you're using it and then kind of trust what comes out of it blindly as in facts, I think that would be a challenge. In the same way as it would be a challenge to kind of blindly understand, blindly trust everything that you read in a paper, right? So I think kind of the importance of critical thinking is still there, right? What is dangerous and some other kind of risks with AI from a let's call it the perspective of risks and the TikTok example you said is when it's starting to get biased, right? If it's biased because it's trained on the wrong data, it might be trained on data that is kind of okay, it's racist or it's gender biased or whatever. Your outcome will also become that, right? So it's all about that training data. And then the other thing is if you some companies that we see, they're using AI for like personalization, etc., right? So kind of personalization also when you're kind of from a shopping experience, right? Recommended products, etc., right?
Yeah.
There's potential upsides for that because you're gonna it tells you about stuff that kind of I didn't think about that. That's a great thing, or I didn't know that thing was on campaign. I'll get a better offer now. But if kind of other scenarios might be okay, what happens if that data is kind of intruded by external data? Like I don't know, someone is pushing just their product, and everyone gets recommended to buy that product. It's kind of maybe not a human risk, but it's a kind of it's ways to influence your behavior that we haven't seen before AI. Right. So there's
I'm with you. I'm with you. You were about to finish.
Yeah. No. So I think that's there's risk. I mean, kind of using like ChatGPT, etc. I think that's kind of low risk because it's kind of everything, but you need to kind of understand that this is potential bias in there. There's probabilistic stuff. There might be things that kind of it doesn't know, so therefore it makes up an answer, right? So you kind of need to kind of have that critical thinking with you. And I think also when it's kind of specific applications, it's all about that bias and also about kind of are there ways to kind of hack these systems so that it tries to influence you? Because these generative AI tools, the main thing that they can do is language, right? So they can also be pretty convincing that they're right, even though they're wrong.
Yes. I agree with you because I was going to give a very clear example because while I was in uni, we used AI at some point, ChatGPT to be precise for some questions, and naturally I would expect to have 100 over 100, but then I didn't have a perfect score, so that means there are still flaws to AI. That's the point I'm trying to also elaborate with your point. So you mentioned businesses and how to help businesses. So at what point does businesses with AI?
Yeah, so Iterate AI. So what we have, we help businesses with AI in ways so that you can kind of help help to build things quickly.
Okay.
So we have this low-code platform to help build AI solutions quickly, because we really believe that kind of in the age of AI, it's important to think about, and it's still early days, right? And no one really knows where this is going to go. And if you don't really know where you're going, I think the key thing is kind of how do you spend as much time as you can in front of internal and external customers? So kind of learn from kind of the solutions that you're building. Is this resonating with the internal team at customer service that is going to use it, or is it resonating with the end customer that might be another use case? So kind of build things quickly as something that we enable with the platform. The platform is also the fact that it's a platform, so you can build whatever's next quickly. So kind of you might build a chatbot today, and you build something else tomorrow. If you don't have a platform, you need your internal approval every time, but kind of our platform typically gets approved, and then that's fine with the internal security team of big companies. And the last thing, and also that kind of helps from a flexibility perspective, right? We have a platform. If you want to change something, if someone is releasing a new language model, or there's a kind of a big shift in new AI technology, we'll build that into the platform, and you're kind of securing that you have a way to build whatever's next. The last thing that we do on the platform is really to bridge the AI engineering gap. So getting hold of AI engineers is pretty hard. The best engineers typically wants to go to big tech that has a ton of money, or they want to go to a startup where they kind of can influence their future in a bigger way, rather than traditional big companies. So what we do with our platform is we bridge that gap. So we build the latest and greatest AI knowledge into the platform in our, let's call it Lego blocks that we have. So you can put that in hands with more traditional developers or even business analysts. So we do that, and we kind of help large companies to build anything from like license plate recognition to chatbots to OCR solutions and customer service solutions for banking and insurance. So
yeah, that sounds like an entire ecosystem there.
yeah, that's really what we do. So that's what so Iterate AI, our platform is Interplay. So that's the platform that we're using for our customers, and we let our customers use.
All right. So in terms of, I'll bring you back to the question of privacy.
Yep.
Your customers, how sure are they that their data is private and it's not going to be used in the wrong, or their data is not going to be in the wrong hands, I must say. So can you confidently, I'm with you.
Yeah, I think we can. I think so. The beauty of our solution is that we are agnostic, so you can work with any cloud provider, but also that we can work all the way from cloud to on-prem, or in data centers, or embedded, or even on an AI laptop, right? So what we see actually, maybe not moving the data, but when it comes to large language model, there's a lot of kind of move to run those language models on-prem, and running it inside your data center, right? Because the key thing that you have as a large enterprise is your own data. Right, when you're starting to train language models on your own data, that's when you're getting become more efficient in using that data. And you, as a large enterprise, right, we don't believe that large enterprises need large language models. They probably need like 1,000 small language models that are experts in a specific domain. It might be for customer service, it might be all your company agreements, it might be around your loyalty program. There might be different things, and typically privacy, cost, latency, all of those things are making companies to run these language models on-prem. And so that's what we're seeing, that kind of when you do this, and when you train your model internally inside your enterprise, your data never leaves the enterprise, right? So and that's how we can secure privacy. We see that kind of as a big move as well. It's almost like leadership philosophy, right? If you think about leadership philosophy, how do you how do you run a large organization as efficiently as you can, right? You kind of you empower the people that are closest to the data to make the decision, Like imagine I'm a big retailer, like I want to put the tools for my store employees to make the decisions of what's best for my store. They might understand much more about localized offers or why traffic is down or whatever it might be for a local store. So you want to embrace them to make the decision. I see AI the same way and compute the same way. You want to move the compute power to where the data is, being it inside a store on a server, or being it in a drive-through for ordering a burger through a voice assist, or being it kind of embedded in a headset to kind of understand the manuals of the machine that you're in front of. But kind of rather than all the time you need to go up to the cloud and then wait for the answer back. So kind of, yeah, so we see a lot of kind of distributed compute, and that's the way forward. The other thing that we're seeing as a big move is AI starts with training, right? You're training these models, but the big use of AI is when you're using these models, what's called inference, right? So the inference we've enabled so you can run inference on like Intel CPUs in a store or in a data center versus you need to go and run it on an NVIDIA GPU in the cloud. So we see a lot of kind of and we kind of try to accelerate that. How do you actually move from POCs around AI to how does this scale, and then how does it scale in the place there where it makes most sense from cost perspective, privacy perspective, latency perspective, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think it's almost 30 minutes, but I would ask this question and say that what would you say to business owners or large businesses that have not embraced AI? If you were to convince them and tell them the usefulness of AI, what is that one thing that you're going to tell them?
No, I think the key thing for me is kind of start doing something. It's gonna change your business, but think about what's your key benefits today. Typically, your key benefits of what you're doing today lies in the internal knowledge of your data, the vertical data that you have inside your company. How can you build something around that? And if you're thinking about building something around that, think about what really moves the needle for your company, being it a more efficient supply chain, being it a more efficient customer experience, being it a more efficient employee experience, and how do you kind of start to use this technology inside those spaces. It's easy to just say, okay, let's build a chatbot around the HR handbook or something that no one really uses in the first place, right? The HR handbook, if I have a question around the HR handbook, I ask my colleague that sits next to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I might do it 2 times a year, right? It doesn't move the needle for the company. Like, how do you dare to experiment in the things that are really the value creating processes inside your company? So, uh, and I don't think kind of standing on the side and waiting to see what's happening with AI is gonna save you. I think embrace it and be part of it. I think that it's gonna be the companies that are embracing this new technology is going to accelerate away from the companies that are not.
Mm.
So it's no longer large eating small. It's kind of fast running away from slow.
Yeah, I I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. So I was going to bring up a very trendy conversation that has been everywhere right now, and how in terms of how they say Apple is not
Mhm.
evolving. They still keep on cycling the same kind of technology for us. What role do you think AI will play in technological development in general and creative thinking?
Technological development, yeah, I think it's going to play a huge role. We see that in software development as an example, right? So think about the evolution of software development. Like in the beginning, first computers, you needed to write assembly. Then you moved into like a C plus, and then kind of it became functions, and then kind of now the programming language is almost English, right? You write in English what you want to do, and then kind of AI takes care about the coding for you. So I think it's going to accelerate the or it's going to accelerate the velocity of developing new functionality. I think for sure that we're going to see much more new code coming out, and therefore much more new innovations and experimentation coming out. So I think from a software development perspective, that's definitely something that's going to accelerate. But also back to where we started, we talked about democratization of knowledge, right?
Yes.
Even if it's kind of just deep engineering knowledge inside a company that is building airplanes, I don't know, whatever kind of you imagine, but all the knowledge on how to build stuff the best way for kind of durability, etc. You could train an AI to have that and help it experiment for you on how do you build the next version even better. I think it's going to accelerate that, and I think it's also going to accelerate like creativity processes, right? You think about ideation, you think about rather than spending half of your project in drawing things on your computer, you might have your computer to, okay, help me create 5 versions of this, and then start with that, because typically most people move faster if they react to something that's there versus kind of full abstract thinking from the beginning. So kind of accelerating to getting prototypes to react to. I think that's gonna help accelerate creativity as well as productivity.
Yeah, amazing. Um, so if I was to make you choose between an iPhone 15 Pro Max or a Samsung Galaxy something, which would you prefer? Which would you use?
I I'm an Apple guy, and I think I'm an Apple guy because of the ecosystem that Apple built. And it might be kind of sometimes that kind of you see the Android devices leading from a technology perspective, but I like the fact that kind of I can move freely my AirPods between my MacBook and my iPhone, etc., etc. So there's kind of it's more the ecosystem and that about Apple. And I also think kind of if you look at Apple historically, they might not have been the first mover of everything, but they're pretty good at packaging stuff and letting others make some mistakes. So I'm pretty sure also Apple will be in the game for AI.
Mm, yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Magnus, for joining the conversation. I already put you on the spot there, and for sure, for sure, I'm gonna tell
Cool.
everybody. I'm gonna tell everybody that you prefer to use the Apple ecosystem to Android. And trust me, a lot of Africans, Nigerians to be specific, would rather go for an Android phone rather than an Apple phone. Yeah. So
Cool.
final words in terms of what Taiwan is doing, and how would you say that? Would you say Taiwan is coming to Africa soon? And if they are already, what plans and what steps have been taken?
No, so Iterate, the company Iterate. Yeah, so I mean, we're working with large enterprises to build AI solutions. Um, we're coming to where the customers are. So as kind of I mean, kind of if there's a great opportunity, and I think there's great opportunity in Africa, we'll be there. So far, as we're kind of a scale-up company, our base is North America. We've been growing with partners in Asia Pacific. I'm heading up Europe, and then we'll see whatever's next. So it's more about customers and opportunity versus by design so far.
All
So
right.
you'll see us soon.
All right. So I'll hold you by your word. Thank you so much for joining in on the conversation. This is InfoWave, the podcast. If you are listening across all our platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, anything, please do not forget to subscribe. Make sure you like and check us out at Tech Economy across all social media platforms. It was nice having Magnus. It's very difficult to pronounce his name. If you can help me out.
Yeah. So my name is Magnus Tekstrom. I'm GM Europe for Iterate.
All right. Thank you very much for joining the conversation. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.